here we have the engine. What I did, undid 4 bolts up there. That allowed me to drop the whole gearbox unit. I didn't actually undo any bolts this end. And what actually happened is this whole thing actually came out, rubber and all. I think it must be glued in or something. The whole thing actually came out. I've just engineered it back using trolley jacks. So why was it a pig to get out? Well, I undid the various bits and pieces. The clutch arm I took off from the bottom. Various wires and clips. Took out the starter motor and just pulled it to the side. It's an engaged starter motor. I had to just pull it out. Did a few bolts at the top.
At first I missed a cable at the back, which is actually bolted into the side of the box. So that's at the rear of the engine. I just had to unbolt and then pull it out. I think it was a speedo cable.
It's around here. There's the suspension. There's the bit that attaches there.
This was actually a rear mount, which actually just unbolts, as you can see.
Which I found the easiest thing was to undo those 3 bolts it was holding that on and take that off so it didn't get in the way. You also might find that this water pipe at the back is kind of fixed, and I found that was catching on the side of the housing as I was trying to get it off. So at the other end there's 2 bolts at the other end. I released those 2 bolts, some water came out obviously, but it made that piece looser so I could actually bring this forward. Now I suspended the engine on a trolley jack and the gearbox on a trolley jack and slowly sort of edged them out, edged the gearbox out. I couldn't understand why it wasn't coming out, and I found out one of the reasons was this. These on the bottom of the gearbox, there's these like dust flaps, which are situated on that the face of the gearbox. And I thought, oh, I can leave those on, they're only dust flaps. But in fact, they actually sit inside the flywheel. So because they're inside the flywheel obviously doesn't come off of the gearbox. So basically, they're jammed in because they're behind the flywheel, or between the flywheel and the gearbox. So basically you've got to take those 2 off. They're easy to get off. There's only about 3 bolts on that one, 2 bolts on that one. So remember to take those off. They're not just dust covers, well they are dust covers, but they need to be taken off, otherwise you won't be able to pull the thing clear. I was able to work it with the jack, so I was able to drop the gearbox front. I had to take the drive shafts out. This drive shaft side was easy. Again, I mentioned on another video, but don't undo the nut on the bottom, which I did here, which was the wrong thing to do because you often get the tapered joint here seized, so it's a job to get it out. What you actually do is top tip, undo the 4 bolts holding the swivel, the joint on. So you undo the 4 bolts and then you can move everything aside. These again, you don't need to do all 4. I did the other side, would be better to show you. I did this properly when I realised what I was doing. Live and learn. So here, you don't actually take all 4 bolts out, only the bolts which hold this steering arm need to come out. And obviously make sure this is supported, so it doesn't stretch. You don't stretch your brake pipes, make sure that's supported. So basically those 2 bolts, and here I've done it properly. I've taken the 4 nuts out, so that joint's okay. I'll be able to put the whole thing back. You can actually swing out this whole arm, and which allows you to release, just push the sub-axle, push it through there, and it'll come out, and you'll be able to pull it out now, rather than I've got the sub-axles here. Excuse the mess. Come on, that's it. That's the left side. If you're standing to your left, so that's the near side. Now, rather than take out the sort of casing on this one, I actually took out the actual CV joint out with the 3, whatever you call them, on. Try something, they call this, try joint. And that saves you any hassle in relation to, apparently there's some sort of circlip inside these, which if you displace it can cause problems. So this gets round the problem. One must be careful with it. And this is the drive shaft out of the right hand side. Is it the right hand side? Yeah, the right hand side, the driver's side. You see on this one there's a bearing. Now there's the bearing, that's the bearing housing. I never quite understood what they meant, but I did this 2 bolts there, release the bolts, but I'm not sure. I didn't have to take the bearing housing off. But I did find that when you're to release from this end, to release, I found tapping on this with a club hammer helped to dislodge it from the gearbox, that end. I was tapping this for ages, but it didn't make any difference. But tapping that, it actually worked, and this slowly worked its way out of the gearbox. So what I'll do is clean those up when I come eventually to get a gearbox, and that's another job. I will clean them up and oil them and everything, grease them properly, or put them back afresh. Question as well as to probably worth.
It goes without saying that before attempting this, there's so much pushing, shoving and banging. You need the vehicle well and truly steady on axle stands. I use 16-ton axle stands on the 2 front mountings on either side.